Yeah, well, big up DJ Jammers. You're tuned into the Jam Master Show on Bless Radio. Glamour Kid Salad. Say, ooh, ooh.
We're going to rewind again. I'm going to play one track and then we're going to come back in on the restart. Alright, so once again, big request to each and everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Kende Ogunlabi. I am an educator. I've worked in schools for the last 16 years across London. I work in primary, secondary, and alternative education. I also run summer camps in Nigeria every year for about 100 to 150 orphan children in Lagos State, in a place called Ipaja. And I'm also one of the co-founders, one of the directors of an organization called Manhood Academy for Boys.
I've even forgotten it's the sun, you know. So the Jam Master Show live. If anybody heard SLR, there was a little bit of a debate going on about Christianity, and I really like to get involved in a religious debate. So I'm not really going to continue it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to break down. Someone was saying about not bringing the facts to the table. So I was going to break down one word for today. Then we're going to go into the Manhood Academy. So the word today that I want to break down is the word believe, which is a strong word, is a key word into anything that we seem to be doing. Is this word believe, right? The word believe comes from, if you look in the New Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible, concordance means that you look at the different languages like the Greek, the Hebrew and the English, and it shows you the common link in the language. It's got every single significant word in the Bible and every chapter that word is in. And then it gives you the Hebrew and the Greek definition, right? So basically what I'm using for facts and references today is the New Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible by James Strong. I want Cass from Manhood Academy to confirm that I'm not making it up. I have actually got the book in the studio. Have I got the book in the studio?
Yes, you have.
Right. So basically
that's one big book, sir.
It's a big book, yes.
That's a big book.
So the word of the day is believe, right? The word of the day, believe. You go to concordance, the word believe is under the concordance, and what it is, it gives, every word has a number, and then you can go to the Greek and the Hebrew, if it's in Greek or the Hebrew, and find that number and find the word. So basically the word believe in the Concordance Bible is reference 539. So believe in 539. So when we go to Hebrew, reference number 539 for the Hebrew word, what believe means in Hebrew, when we get to 539, we will see that the Hebrew word for believe, and I also want Cass to confirm it, is aman. So 539.
Aman, that's right.
Aman.
That's correct, aman.
It's a prime root meaning to build up, support, to foster as a parent or nurse, to render firm or faithful. So once again, the word believe is reference number 539 in the Strong's Concordance of the Bible. The Hebrew word for believe is aman, and it means to build up, support, to foster as a parent or nurse, to render or be firm or faithful, to trust or believe. So once again, English word belief comes from the Hebrew word aman. Right, now when we go to the Greek, and I'm not going to read this out myself, I'm going to get Cass to it. When we go to the Greek now, what does the word believe mean in Greek? So we're going to go to the Greek definition, which is 539, and you get the word apate from 538. Yeah, so we go to 538, and we've got apatao. And you can, and I'm going to get Cass from the Manhood Academy to read the rest of the show. It's not coming out.
Deceive.
So believe.
But Jammers, you always break down words.
Right.
I need that book.
Right.
How much that book cost? Because that book looked like it cost £1,000.
A little. But I can sort it out for you.
Wow, I need that book, man.
Right. So what was the word? What is the Greek word for belief?
Apata. Oh, yeah.
Apatao.
Yep, apatao.
So the Greek word is belief. Now there's a science behind this, because
and the other one was deceive.
Yeah. It means so believe means to deceive in Greek, basically. You know. Right, there's a science behind this. The science behind this is in ancient Kemet. What was the principle of creativity? The principle of creativity in ancient Kemet was Ptah. Ptah was the element of creativity. If you listen to the word Egypt properly, you'll hear Egypt Ptah. Because that's the essence of creativity in ancient Kemet was Ptah. The Greek word for believe is apatao.
Apatao. Okay.
When you put in Greece, when you put an A in front of a word, it negates the word. Like sure, ashore. So basically, every time you put the word A in front of a word in Greek, it negates the word. So basically, there's a science behind how this Bible was created. It's created to negate our creative spirit, because the essence of creativity is called Ptah, Egypt Ptah. The word deceive is apatah. So what they've done now is they've created this book to negate our creativity, because basically once you believe somebody else, then you no longer have to be creative because you become a follower. Also, if you've studied something for so many years, you should be sure of it, shouldn't you? Mm-hmm. If you've been driving a car for 10 years,
you should be sure of it.
You should be sure it's your car. Mm-hmm. You no longer need to believe it's your car.
That's right, yep.
So, when you use the word believe, you're taking out facts, evidence. Facts and evidence you're taking out. You know, you're also cutting out all of your senses, because you no longer use your senses. And the other thing about it, before we're going to start off with the word about believe, is basically the people who talk to you about the Bible. I mean, if someone's going to operate on your heart, you want to know they're qualified. If you're going to get a nutrition, you want to know they're qualified.
Yep.
When somebody talks to you on religion, where is their scholarship? Where is their qualifications? We don't ask for the qualifications, because basically to study religion, you have to know about the science of hermeneutics. Hermeneutics is the study of words, sounds, logo, pathos, and interpretation, high-level interpretation. So, just as when you've got someone operating on your heart, you need a specialist. To interpret a divine book, you need a specialist. But they don't bring a teacher to the church. They don't bring a scholar to the church. They don't bring a lecturer to the church. They bring a minister to the church. A minister is just an administrator who is just passing on knowledge that has been given him to pass on. He does administration. That's why it's called a minister. So once again, the word for today is believe, which Cass will confirm means to
deceive.
Deceive. Thank you. Right. After this,
I've got to be careful of what words I use these days, especially around you.
No, it's all good, you know. It's all good. So that was just a shout out to the people who said I'm not using facts. The other book, I'm not going to use it today, but I'll use it next week. It's called. I'll get Cass to read this one.
Oh, the degree of Christism. Yeah, degree of Christism. Yeah, a very interesting book.
Yeah, I just want to show you how many pages is this.
So, Jammers, where do you get all these books from? Seriously,
I'm giving to me now. How many pages has this book got in it? You know, because some people.
This book has got. Let's see. This book has got.
Let's say.
824 pages.
Right.
That's a serious book, sir.
And it's by Amunubi Ruaka Ptah, also known as Aketetra Ataferi Atumari, right. Otherwise Malakayo, you know. So basically,
824 pages. And
interesting. Strong's Coordinates Bible. I mean, not Bible. It's a big book. It's got the same amount or even more. No, but I'm not talking about it. I'm just talking about that we need to start doing our own research on something that we take, you know, for the rest of it. It's not like a shoes that you're going to wear and throw away, or a car that you're going to drive for a couple of years. This is something that you take and you use your life by it. Mm-hmm. You use to guide your life, and you pass this on to your children. You know? So now
and they pass it on to their children.
They pass it on to their children. Mm-hmm. So now we've got to become scholars. As the Manhood, the company is going to go into it. Now we have to start to look into things for ourselves and see what works best for us.
That's right.
Right, after the track, we're going to bring in the man himself, live and direct in the house.
Yeah, well, big up DJ Jammers. You're tuned into the Jam Master Show on Bless Radio. Glamour Kid Salad. Say,
We've got the man in the house again. Can you introduce yourself once again?
Yes, my name is Kende Ogunlabi. I'm an educator. I work in schools. I've been working across London for the last 16 years, primary, secondary and alternative education. I also have been doing for the last 8 years, I've been doing a summer camp in Lagos, a place called Ipaja, with orphan children, about 100 to 150 orphan children. Yeah, and I'm one of the co-founders, the directors of Manhood Academy.
So what do you say your unique skill is? What makes you the man to bring this to the table? What initiated it to you?
Well, there's 8 of us, so it was ordained by the Most High, really. So there's 8 of us. I'm one of the 8. We've also got Danielle, Albert, Huey, Darren, Rio, Davis and Konsu all came together 2 years ago, and we decided that there is a need for something like this, an urban rights package like this, for our young men.
What's your skill base then in relation to this? What do you offer personally?
Yeah, well, I'm in the organisation. I do safeguarding, child protection, and I'm an assistant facilitator, so I deliver sessions as well in the Parenthood Academy and the Rites of Passage Academy as well for the actual boys. So my skills, I bring it from the knowledge I've got from education and all the background that I've got.
What have you got in education then?
Oh gosh, too many to mention. So organising.
I mean, something that if we haven't heard you for.
Yeah, organising whole school trips, whole school events, dealing with behaviour, enrichment. I'm an extended schools manager. That's like back in our day it was called play centre, but now it's called extended schools. I organise different events for the teachers around teacher training as well.
Massive organisation skills.
Teacher training, and I facilitate workshops. Yes, I can, brother. Of course I can. I learned that from the nation.
Because what's one thing, people, we talk about organisations.
Yes.
But we don't have organisers,
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. And that's a good question. Nobody's actually asked me what is my skill set, because I think sometimes people get together and they've all good intentions, but if they haven't got a certain skill set, then it all falls down later on down the line. If they're not willing to train, it all falls down later on in the line. But 8 of us have worked with children and young people across the board, so we're in various different walks of life.
What got you into this in the first place?
I just love working with children and young people, and it was a calling for me. I do a lot of community events. I assist with a lot of community events. Either if I'm not promoting them, I might attend them, and I just want to see a better future for our people.
So are you trained through the system, or are you trained outside the system? Or
both, a bit of both. And I would say we need a bit of both, because yes, it's fine to be training inside these institutions, but they train you a particular way. It's usually a Eurocentric way. So it's good to have training.
What do you mean Eurocentric? What do you mean by that?
Well,
someone is bringing their child to school has no knowledge of this word. What is the inadequacies or deficiencies with the Eurocentric system?
Well, when you have your schools, your colleges, and your universities in a particular place or in a particular field, then the people who are running it will be running it to the way they see fit. And the most of the people who run it are, European. And we've got to also understand the educational system, because a lot of people put their children into school and don't actually understand the history of the education system.
Can you give us a brief breakdown?
Yes, I will do. I will do, yeah. Way back in the day, in the Victorian times, or the 18th century or 17th century, or however far back you want to go, the only people who used to get educated were the rich people, the upper class. They're the middle class. They're the ones who used to educate their children. They didn't even want to educate the working class or the poor children. And then when you fast forward it to the times when they actually said, well, sending those working class and poor children up the chimney sweeps, or just sending them out on the street to fend for themselves, was a bit inhumane. They created what we call the educational system, but it was mainly for the working class and poor children. So now, when you have a system that doesn't even want to actually educate their own children because they're a particular class, what then happens when we come in the system? Yeah. So people have to understand this is the basis of what the system is coming from. And there's a lot of problems with our young children inside this system, especially our young black boys, because there's times when there's a culture clash, or we get a situation where there's racism that actually is rife in some of the schools. So we don't need Macpherson to tell us that there's institutionalized racism in a lot of these institutions, and one of them is schools.
And I'd just like to concur with what you said. And another side is the educational standard, because basically the elite go to schools like Eton
or Cambridge.
Grammar. Eton's produced 19 prime ministers. So basically they learn trivium, which is the art of being free. So they learn power, so they know they have a system in place where their children can go into the establishment and achieve power and achieve greatness and be free. So they have a system in place. So they've deliberately constructed, as quite rightly said, a system to hold the rest of the population down, called a comprehensive school. So basically, people go to grammar school to become the programmers, and people go to comprehensive school to comprehend the program that they have to follow.
Mm-hmm. Well, also you've got to understand it's built on the system is built on a Maslow system, which is a lot of poor people at the bottom. So you can see it when you go to certain teacher training days. They always talk about Maslow. So the small amount of people on the top that control the masses on the bottom, and the small amount of people on the top are the elite, and the masses at the bottom are, the ordinary workers, 9 to 5ers, or the poor people. And these are how certain systems are played out. So when you get a situation with, because you asked me earlier about Eurocentric, when you get a Eurocentric system and you get Africans going into a US-centric system, it's always going to be problematic. So I learn from both. So I learned my Afro, because when you as an African, we share. That's what we do, we share. We don't get into a situation where we say we're going to control this amount of wealth and we are not going to distribute it. That's not how it actually works. We share. And when you have certain African countries that have that type of system, it's usually because those ones are still the former leaders of those who have been enslaved before. and they have, and the enslavers have said, you know what, we're going to give you back your country, but we're going to give you back your country with these types of Africans, not the Africans that will say, you know what, the land is for everyone. So it's a very complex situation. So when people are sending their children into the educational system, they just need to know what they're doing.
The question out of my mouth, so you're answering my next question.
Yeah. So they've got to know the educational system. It's not simply that they just say, I'm going to send my child to school, and that's that. They've got to say to themselves, what are they, first of all, what they're sending their child to school for, what they want to get out of it, and then they have to say, well, that's what they taught you in school, and we're going to talk about school in a minute, this terms of what is a school, and then they have to say, well, what are we going to teach you? Because it's not enough for black people to say, oh, I want black history on the curriculum. If they say yes, and they do teach it on the curriculum, and it's not to your liking, all they teach you about is Martin Luther King and the nice parts about Martin Luther King, then what are we going to say? If they teach you about Frank Bruno, who's a historian, or who is going to be going down in black British history, what are we going to say? That's going to be black history too. So we've got to be careful what we wish for. Yeah. So we should be teaching them black history. And I was going to say about the word school, because I'm not on the Jammer show and he loves breaking down words. So school is everywhere. Yeah, we're in a school right now. Your living room is a classroom. Your house is a school. So we've got to overstand certain words, not understand them. Because when we understand them, we're already getting half of the picture. That's why they say understand. Because when you understand, you're like the understudy, isn't it? And the understudy is the person who stands next to the stage. And if the lead actor is sick, the understudy will be the one to come in and do the lines for them and take over the role in the theatre. That's where understand comes, because that second part, you're already getting half of the story. So we need to overstand the educational system and in its entirety. Because when we start complaining about things, and which we should, we need to also say, what are we going to do?
What we have to stop doing is we've got to stop complaining. Because if you look at the word explain, it means to leave plain. And when we've given the plain, like the Manhood Economy has given us a complex or a proper breakdown, then we don't need to complain. We can come with facts, figures and evidence, because that's what we do. We complain. We come with the plain knowledge. We don't research. We don't get evidence, so we can come with facts, figures, and when we talk to them, we can talk from knowledge.
And knowledge is definitely power. And we're at the Manhood Academy, like I said,
I wanted to take you back. Yeah. So you, we can see that you've got extensive background and a love for educating us. Yeah. Right. So how did the Manhood Academy come about?
Okay. So there was 8 of us 2 years ago.
Was you all friends, or just?
Some of us knew each other, and. Some of us didn't know each other. It's actually as simple as that, really. But we all had a common goal. We all had a similar ethos. So we didn't know it was going to be called Manhood Academy at the time.
How did that name come about?
I think we went through a number of different names. And that Manhood Academy, we always do a vote. And that was the one that actually we stuck with, the Manhood Academy. So before, a lot of people don't know, before we actually started the Manhood Academy, because we're now in our second year, we had a year of planning beforehand. I think even a year and a half of planning beforehand, before we actually said this is going to go into the universe. Because remember, when you ask the universe for something, it will give it back 10 times more. So before we asked the universe to give us Manhood Academy, we had to do the pre-planning first. And the planning of Manhood Academy was extremely important. Yes, safeguarding, child protection, how much is it going to cost? Where are we going to get the money from? Because we are self-funding. There's no government grants or government funding. So we rely on the donations of the good people out there.
I just want to, because people say planning, but how did you know what to plan for?
Well, like I said, we had to draw up what we wanted this model to look like. So from when we had our blueprint, that's when we started to plan. So when we got down to the actual planning, then we had to do different departments, PR and marketing. That's extremely important. We want people to know about it because we've got a GoFundMe, because we're taking our boys to Kunta Kinte land, Gambia, for the true rites of passage. The true rites of passage. So we're taking our boys to Gambia in December of. It was all down. It was all down to how we want the thing to look, how we want it to feel, and also what we want to deliver.
What is the true rites of passage?
Well, the true rites of passage. Well, when the boy is going to turn into a man, they take them around about the age of 13. Take them out in the bush and do different rituals with them, and they bring them back and they're a man. Nobody knows exactly what happens in the actual bush with the elders.
Is Gambia? Is it
This is something that the Maasai warriors do, but we were talking about the Gambia, yes. And the reason why, well, they do it at 13 because that's what they say. They go from a boy to do our program. We're going to do our program. This comes back to the question about planning. We was going to do our program with 13 to 19-year-olds because 13 is the time when the boy turns into a man. But we had so many calls from parents and saying, no, you've got to do it younger. You've got to get them while they're young, so they can grow into it. So we lowered the age from 8 to 12. Which we do on a Saturday from 10 to 1 at the Edge Community Centre.
Where?
At the Edge Community Centre, that's in Manor House, opposite Manor House Station.
You've got a postcode for there?
It is N4, I believe. I have to look that up.
N4?
Yeah, N4. Just outside Manor.
Where is that again?
In the Manor House.
Manor House.
Manor House. And I'll get the
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I'll get the actual address up. And we do the boys, the older boys from 13 to 19.
What's the times that you do this?
Wednesday evening.
What's the times that you do this?
Wednesday evening is 6 to 9. Saturday mornings is 10 to 1.
What kind of numbers are you getting in?
I'm glad you asked me that. We are getting in on a Saturday, and the Saturday just gone because we have started our new cycle. We had 49 boys up there.
Wow.
In the evenings, believe it or not, wind, rain, or sleet, we have between 22 to 25 boys. Yeah, we have between 22 and 25 boys.
Is it a course? Is it a course? Is it, or how does it work? Is it a program of 8 lessons or 8? Or?
It goes in cycles: earth, fire, water, and air. For example, fire, dealing with their passion, dealing with their anger, getting them to know how to challenge it. Community, the family, the community, the family. Yeah. So what we do is
do the other two before you go to the
yes, and the water is flowing. There's that more entrepreneurial stuff, how to flow, and air is also how they can be free and get their mind actually free. So we deal with those 4 elements, and we take them out of their comfort zone. So that's where the critical thinking comes in, because you've got the things that you believe, and that's why I like the fact that believe means deceive, and you've got the things that actually is true to you and your life, because that's how some of our young people feel, and we've all been that way. So it's getting them to actually think outside the box, as they say.
So can you give an example
of the what we do in the program?
Yeah.
Okay, so if they're coming to, for example, if they're coming to a session which is 3 hours, they would do meditation, sitting still, gathering their thoughts. Some of them were a bit reluctant because some of them have never been still for 5 to 10 minutes, you know, because we're living in a 24-hour society. Yeah, so from our phones to the internet to TV to work, you know, it's a 24-hour society. So we do meditation, then we get into the physical activity, get them up, get their blood rushing, and then we get into talking about the subject that we are dealing with at the time. So if it's if it's fire, the fire cycles about their anger, what triggers them, what gets them angry. Yeah, and we try to make sure
so
that
bring him in a bush. Take a boy and bring him in a bush.
Sorry,
man, I take a boy and put him in a bush.
No, we're not going to take them in the bush. But I'm saying
but I'm saying that is a good scenario, because basically the youth nowadays, they don't get any chance to go outside to do any kind of recreational activity. Most of them are stuck on social media. They don't go outside anymore. And what you find is they become introverted. They have no social skills. They have a fear of communicating or moving outside their postcode zone.
Yeah.
So the comment, you know, when you're taking somebody out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, this is what is needed.
Yeah.
We need to take our youth out of
our comfort zone.
Bring them into that kind of environment.
And also talking about the postcodes, because a lot of people ask me, where did the boys come from? Do they just come from that particular area? And we say no. Believe it or not, they come from all over London.
I've got to go back. That principle of you saying the fire air. How did you come up with that concept?
Well, we based it around. There's a really brilliant cartoon called The Avatar.
Okay.
Yeah, Avatar, and it's come up with that. And the Last Airbender. That Avatar, and it's based around that.
Wow, no, that really sounds an excellent formula. What you just said, that really sounds excellent. And now the next magic trick you've done that. So how do you get them to come out of their postcodes?
That's a really good question, and the thing about it is we get their parents. Their parents bring them, so bring them anyway. But the older ones at the beginning, their parents were bringing them, and now a lot of the older ones they come there. They come there, and it's important to actually state. Because sometimes we talk about young people like they're a separate entity or they're a planet. So it's planet young people on Earth. It's not all the young people that are caught up in nonsense on the road. Yeah, there's some of our young people, far too many, but there's some of them that are not in that at all. I
think it's more the majority are not into that at all.
I think so. But the majority,
they like to push out.
Yes. So
that propaganda. That one of us does it, and then that means a thousand.
All of us, yeah. And we and that's the reason why we work hard on our PR, our marketing, our media, because it's extremely important. Young people are into it, even older people are into it. So the way it actually looks and the way it's actually presented, it has to look professional, it has to look sharp, and young people have to be in it as well.
So there's another element, because I was looking at like Lala Africa, and when I've seen the amount of like abuse, psychological conditions, that our youths are going through.
Yeah.
So have you got specialists who deal with this now? Because that's another thing, disruptive behaviour. When you've got the youth coming into your class, do you have anybody who deals with that side of it?
Well, a lot of the boys who come there have a range of different needs. From disruptive behaviour to some boys, and this is the thing when we talk about behaviour. As soon as somebody says behaviour, they automatically think it's bad.
Right.
But we have behaviour that is very quiet. Yeah, they're very quiet, very shy, and they need to come out of their shell. So there's two. There's on the other, on both of the other ends, it's funny because you have to understand when certain children are in certain environments, they will act according to the environment a lot of the time. So a number of things that we see on their focus, we have a focus form that actually highlights, what is some of the issues that they might have. Some of them, they don't display it when they're at the Manhood Academy, but they might display it when they're in school. So that's why we have got to look at the systems that we put our children in, because if young boys and young black men are actually presented to young black
coming through.
Okay.
Hello, caller.
Yes, warmest greetings. This is the living God, Brother Dougie.
So,
Live and direct.
we're just trying to turn you up a bit more to get some more volume from you. Yes, caller. Hello.
Yes, this is the living God coming through. Brother Dougie.
Oh, Dougie. Yes.
Yes.
Nice to hear from you, Dougie.
Blessed Dougie. Blessed Dougie.
Yeah, what would you like to contribute, man? It was a great show the other day on SLR. Wow, I had to go home and study, man.
Right. Nice one. No, I just want to ask the beautiful caller, Brother Cass, of rites of passage, because more time, I do believe, to counteract the nonsense what's happening, I think rites of passage is a must, where young people need to go through the rituals to learn to be, grow up to be a man, and young girls go to rap as to be young women, be responsible to the community. But I want to better break down the importance of rites of passage.
So, blessed brother Dougie. So the importance for
give thanks and praise, my brother.
Blessed,
one love to the eye.
Blessed brother. So the importance of rites of passage for me and for the academy is for that young boy to know, first of all, how great they are. Number one, because some of our boys, they don't really know that. Because when we are presented with the actual media on how our boys look, it's always very demeaning. So when we for the rites of passage for me is to say how great they are, also for them to actually
wait, hold on a second. How do you show them how great they are?
Well, we actually speak to them and find out where their mindset is first. And then we challenge that actual mindset, and we talk to them about the things that they can do well, even if it's small. We say, and we big them up. We affirm them. We tell them that they are actual great. We even have a song called "I Am Great and I Know That." That's the song that we sing on Saturday just to get them hyped up and ready for the session. But back to Dougie's question, the importance of rites of passage. And it's important for the boys to know there is a transition. From as simple as that as well, from boy to man. Because some people, even grown men don't even know that there is a transition from a boy to a man. A lot of big men are still acting like little boys, because they've never been.
I'm going to let you leave the studio now, No, but there's a truth to go. Yes,
because they haven't been taught. So we don't want some of our young boys to go through the same cycle. And also the importance of rites of passage is for them to see different ideals of men. So we've got to understand that some of our boys, not all of them that attend the Manhood Academy, don't have a father figure in their life.
Well said.
They're looking at the TV, they might be looking on the street corner, they might be looking elsewhere for a father figure. So the rites of passage is so important to show them that, number one, you are great. Number two, there is a transition because some people just believe that you grow up, and who's going to teach you how to be a man if your father's not around? And even if your father is around, are they equipped themselves to actually teach their sons how to be grown men? And what is a grown man? Because there's different ideals. What is a grown man? Is it okay for a man to cry, or should a man hold it in? So we deal with all those type of things there. We tell them we have a session where a lot of the boys who didn't have their fathers in their life had to write a letter to their father, even whether they was with them or not, and they had to read it out publicly. And a lot of the boys were crying, and we had to say to them, there's nothing wrong with crying. We get into
let me ask a question. Do you write, for example, you have to write the passage now, and you have the boys Manhood Academy. Do you invite the fathers to come in, the fathers to come in and to participate or get involved somehow? And the reason I'm asking you this, because this is my personal opinion, right? When the father's not involved, right, that's where the challenge really is. And I wonder, do you get the father or to get involved with the program, or get involved somehow or another?
Absolutely. We ask the parents to come. Because whether they're living with their son or not, we ask the parents to come. So we don't just ask the mothers to come, because we know that also can be problematic. Because if a man knows another man is trying to raise their son and teach them how to be a man, they can get their back up about that. So we always invite the men, and sometimes the men come. Mostly it's women, but we definitely encourage the men to come and be a part of the session. And some of the men, some of the fathers were there when their sons were reading out the letters, and it's very important for them to hear what their sons are thinking.
That's very powerful, you know.
It's very important it's very important for them to hear what their sons are thinking, because it's okay for you to say in the morning, oh, how's your son, have a good day, and then when your son comes back from school, oh, how was your day, your son will just say fine. But what are they thinking? What are they talking about amongst their friends? Because as we all know, young people have a culture within the culture that a lot of society follows, and it's a subculture. All of them have it.
So but let me ask you a question. In terms of your research, right? In terms of when we start to examine with the kind of knife crime and the violence, everything, right? Would you say that one of the reasons is because of the lack of the father figure in the home? In the home plays a very important role in that?
I think that's partly the situation. I also think, and I'm going to touch on a number of points, I also think it's done by design. We need to make sure we are clear by that. That is done by design as well, because I think what happens is some of us get caught up thinking that all of this thing just came about, but we have to look at the signs. Remember, Africans were enslaved. There's no such thing as slave trade. And that's why I get really upset when people start talking about slave trade, because slave trade, if me and you jammers are doing business, we are going to trade. That's two willing business partners. You've got this mic, I want to have that mic. You're saying you're selling it for £20. I said, you know what, I got £15. You say, okay, that's a trade. Both of us are happy. Enslavement is when you're being forced into that. So when our ancestors and our forefathers were forced into slavery, that was when those people tried to get rid of us. That didn't happen.
Okay, listen.
Yeah, that didn't happen. And also to finish
I'm going to hang up and listen, and I'm going to phone back. I want to hear more of the reason. I'm going to phone back.
So before you come in there, I just want to clarify some of the dialogue. We're not Slavics, you know. So basically, we weren't involved in no slave trade because we're not Slavic. It's Africans were forced into servitude. That's what it was. Forced into servitude. You know?
And then you fast forward it to today. So remember, that was when they thought we was going to be annihilated.
Listen, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to phone.
No problem.
Yeah, bless up. And I'm going to phone back. Yeah,
no
bless
problem.
Up.
I want to hear more of the reasoning.
Bless up, Dougie. Bless up, Dougie.
Respect,
bless up. And that was when they thought we was going to get annihilated. That didn't happen.
Rewind that because we were saying goodbye to Dougie. So rewind.
Bless it. Yeah. So I said, Dougie asked me about, is it because of the fathers not being in the home? I said that's partly it.
Right.
Also, it's done by design. That is it as well. Yeah. And Stafford Scott had a meeting a few weeks ago, and he was talking just about that it was done. A lot of it is done by.
What was that meeting? Do you know?
Basically, the meeting was about talking about the situation with gun and knife crime.
Okay, fine.
And whether or not it was something that was created within our community, or whether or not it was, like I said, done by design. So we fast forward it now, Brother Jammers, to 2018, and we got our young boys, too many of them for my liking and for everybody's liking, killing themselves for postcodes. Now, we've got to look at that, because this has not just happened last week or a month. This has been going on now for the last 15 years.
So you just hold there. If you'd like to join the discussion, it's Bless Radio Jam Master Show with our special guest
Kende.
The number to call is 079 444 31366. Once again, 079 444 31366. And we had some interesting conversation with Brother Dougie from SLR that sparked us off onto this. Now, back over to you.
Yeah, so now we got our young boys, some of our young boys, killing each other in London. London is one of the richest cities in the world. So the killing of our young boys on the street is not affecting the house prices, because you can go Tottenham, you can go even Peckham. Peckham now is one of the number one places to live in London. But remember what Peckham used to be like about 20-30 years ago. So it's done by design as well, and we just need to wake up to these things that are happening in our community, or the things that are happening to our community and being forced onto our community, because a lot of it is outside forces coming in. And we've got to be clear about that. And when we're at the Manhood Academy, we challenge those views. When we're dealing with anger, do you then need to go and harm a person that looks exactly like you? Do you really need to do it? Or is it something that you believe you need to do? And we know believe means deceive.
You'll be deceived into thinking.
Deceived to be thinking. Exactly. You'll be deceived to be thinking that is what you got to do. But why is that fueling it? Why is another black person going to do harm to a mirror image of themselves? Why is that? Is that how they're made? Or so we're just born like that? Or is it something else? Because when I look on the TV, Brother Jammers, from Monday to Sunday, whether it's Sky News, BBC One, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5 News, the only thing I see about black young men is bad, mad, or sad. Or, bad, mad, or sad. They're either starving in Africa, they're either killing themselves on the street, or we've got a mad a black man running. That's the only thing I see. So we've got to be present to that, because even some of our own people do it and get caught up in this mass hysteria. So when those boys come at the Manhood Academy, and the parents too, we challenge those thoughts, because I have to tell you as well, the parents come and they do parenthood academy as well. So while the boys,
is that in the same?
That's the same time. So while the boys are going through their rites of passage program, the parents are also going through, are doing their workshops in the opposite room. And we talk about all of those things there. We talk about parenting. We talk about responsibilities to parenting. We talk about their beliefs. We talk about their greatness. We talk about doing self-development. All those things we talk about. Because the thing about it is, I work in schools across London. That's fine. That's cool. And for me, I've got to be accountable to my community. I've got to be accountable to my wife, my children. If I'm picking up a paycheck, Brother Jammers, every month from the council that pays me, and I haven't helped, first of all, I haven't helped the community. Why am I picking up that paycheck? Why am I getting into a situation where I am going to take money from not doing what I am supposed to actually be doing, and being someone who is because remember, it's a public servant, but I'm a servant to my community.
Not many people think like that.
But this is what I'm trying to say to you, and there's been many a times. Yeah, there's been many a times when...
Sorry, Cass. Yeah, Mantis, could you hit that button there? Yeah, Mantis, hit the button and yeah, thank you.
Okay, there's been many a times when I have been in hot situations because I'm speaking out against injustice. And the fact of the matter is, I have to use my expertise, just like the other co-founder, and there's 8 of us, and we have to big them up too. Albert, Huey, Konsu, Rio, Darren, Danielle. I haven't forgotten anybody. No, I haven't forgotten. I've forgotten. And because they all do the actual same thing, and we are the ones who are coming together, and we work with a number of different organisations. Man,
I've got one problem with the Manhood Academy.
What's the problem, brother?
You lot are geniuses, and you need to let that come out. You know, this is actually genius strategies, genius formula that you've got here. You need to recognise greatness that you are at the present moment.
You know what, Brother Jammers? Thank you very much for saying that. But I don't think myself, I don't know about the other co-founders, but I don't think myself as a genius. I just think to myself as, like Brother Stafford said, and I have to big up Stafford Scott, as a person in my community is being active. You understand? So I'm a community activist. So I'm a person in my community. I don't think of myself as any more I've won.
But what does a genie do though? A genie, when they touch it makes wishes come true.
Yeah, I hear
so
you.
we've got to big up ourselves in a certain way.
I hear you.
The community has to recognise the job that you're doing. There's a lot of emotion going around. And you've been here before the emotion.
Yeah,
and you're going to be here after the emotion.
We're going to be here for after the emotion with our people's support, because we can't do it out of the people. And
this is what we need to do, people. We need to turn our spiritual strength into financial power.
Oh, that's definitely. And talking about financial power, we are taking our boys to Gambia. They're going to get a proper rites of passage in Kunta Kinte land. And if anybody's been to Gambia, it's a beautiful place. I went there in 2014. Beautiful place. So what we want our people to do, and we got a GoFundMe page, but they can find all the details on our website, www.manhoodacademy.co.uk, and donate to us. £1, £2, £5.
Could you say that 2 more times slower?
www.manhoodacademy.co.uk. You can donate £1, £2. Every little bit helps. £5. We've got people who've donated £1,000, £500, £100.
You say it one more time to make it stick.
www. I'm going to mention it as well at the end of the show, but www.manhoodacademy.co.uk. go on there and donate to the cause, because we are taking our boys. It's already been ordained. It's like the Nas album. It was written. It's already been written. So they are going to Gambia, and we just want our people.
And if anybody doesn't know what to do in this current situation, this current climate, and even if you think somebody hasn't got all the answers, just support them. Support them financially. If you don't want to, if you can't support them physically, support them financially. When people do come with constructive solutions, we have to give them 400% backing.
Well, the thing about it is, when we, as the Manhood Academy, or whether it's Gang, and big up to Gang, guiding a new generation, big up, or whether it's the Nation, Respect, Jedi, beautiful. Whether it's the Nation, Black History Walks, we want to say there's so many of us doing some brilliant work, and I was at the meeting at the Nation a few weeks ago. We're out here. Yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We out here, 100 black men. That's and father figure. Yeah. Big up Courtney. Big up David Mullins. We out here, Westside Academy. Andrew Muhammad. Yeah, Leo Muhammad.
Paul Lawrence as well.
There's so many organisations here doing good work, and they need the community support, and we definitely need to support our organization, and we need to support them with our money as well, because we put a lot of money into different things. We put a lot of money into church, put a lot of money into mosque, we put a lot of money into different organizations.
That's okay. We put so much money into hair products and so much money into alcohol, cigarettes, and shoes and clothes.
Yes,
we owe a small percent of that directed toward these organisations.
Absolutely. And I forgot to say, our Womanhood Academy, who had their big launch in Parkview Academy a couple of months ago, they are going to start their programs this September. So big up Sister Nikki, Sister Peaches, Sister Amma, Sister Angie, big up Sister Rochelle, big up Sister Tania, big up Sister Camille, big up all those sisters involved, Sister Paulette, big up all those sisters involved in there, because it's the yin and the yang. Because a man can do so much, but he needs a woman not behind him. He needs a woman beside him. Yeah, that's why, you see, even though people didn't actually, our people, some of our people, especially our Pan-Africanist people, didn't really support Obama because, he's president of the United States. They supported the union between Michelle and Barack. So big up Womanhood Academy. Big up Womanhood Academy as well. They're starting their program this September, and they launched in March. Big up my sisters.
That's excellent, and so basically now you were saying about the different elements that you do, and so what's the future now? Where do you what are you doing? You gonna be able to expand, or are you at full capacity?
All right, so the future, just like I said, we mentioned Womanhood Academy. We're definitely going to look into expanding. We're definitely going to be working with a number of organizations. We're also looking at working with organizations abroad too. I'm going on a social leadership international course in July, and that is going to link up with different organizations around the world that are doing the same work as we're doing. So that's going to open up a whole different avenue as well. Blessed.
Greetings. Hello. Greetings.
Yes.
Greetings.
Brother Dougie.
Is that Brother Dougie? Brother Dougie?
Yes, so what?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, then get done.
Can you turn off your radio? No, can you turn off your radio?
Yeah, my radio is off, man.
Okay, now we
right?
hear you clearly, yes. Yes,
yeah.
Dougie, what would you like to say?
No, I'm just enjoying the reasoning what the brother's saying, and he's really on point, and I really respect what not only what the brother's doing, but also the organisation, and like you said, it's got the woman who the academy now. So there's a balance now, yeah. The question you asked earlier on about the churches, and I think they're very. I want to ask. What we will ask, right? Are the churches involved?
Can you repeat that again? We lost it for a second, Dougie. Can you repeat that question again, please?
No, the question I want to ask is about the churches.
Yes.
Are they involved? Are you trying to get them involved, the churches? Because you mentioned the nation and so about the churches themselves. Are they involved? Are you trying to get them involved? Just want to hear a bit more about the churches.
Over to you.
So, when it comes to the churches or the mosques, we welcome anyone who is aligned with our thoughts and our ethos and wants to assist and donate to our cause. We haven't had a lot of churches. Well, we haven't had any churches with us, but we do have individuals who attend church who come to the Manhood Academy. Yeah.
Could you see any reason why you haven't had much church involvement? Is there anything?
No, not really. When it comes to for my past dealing with religious groups, sometimes they like to be with other churches, but however we do work with individuals that attend church on a regular basis, right. And we welcome our brothers and sisters, because we have to remember when and I go back to the enslavement point that I was making earlier, when the oppressors enslaved our ancestors, they didn't ask about church or mosque, they just enslaved everybody. So we welcome our people, whoever they are.
So you just said a new word there, but I don't think really. You said ancestors. I'm going to have to start using that. We've got ancestors and ancestors.
Yeah,
nice one. But I think as well, another aspect is because I think people as well, they don't realise the work that you're doing. I think once more and more people recognise and realise the work that you're doing, then it will become, imperative that you have to be supported.
Yeah, we just want our people get involved.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, because James, you're right, because once they start to recognise the works what you're doing, right, on a serious level, right, they have to get involved. And James is right. And what you're doing now, because obviously you're putting things in place. And the reason why I asked about the church, because I do believe that once they see the works what you're doing, I feel that they will get involved. I think any organisers will get involved. And as you know, church is a massive body organisation, and we need to incorporate them in what we're doing. As we're supporting what they're doing, this is what we're doing as well, So I just want to ride on that, and James is right when he says that. I just want to pick up on that. But I'm really glad that I'm able to sit and listen to some deep reasoning and sincere reasoning, coming from a very sincere brothers them on the show. So pick up your status every single time.
Bless it,
One love.
Dougie. Bless it, Dougie.
Every single time, Dougie. Every single time. And you can catch Dougie every Tuesday on SLR, because this is how we do it, yeah. And the next thing I want to ask you, we had a little brief talk about this off air, is related to, we've got organisations who are doing things in support of the community. There's a lot of money out there, supposedly, to help organisations like yourself. What is the problem in the funding? What is the dynamics?
Okay, so
what goes on with this?
What goes on with the funding? It's always it's a complex thing, but for me, I put it simple and plain. When somebody's giving you money, they're giving you money. It's not your own money. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It comes with strings attached.
Right.
Yeah. So when the bank gives you a loan, they say you have to pay it back with interest.
Right.
Oh, I can't just have the money. No, you got to pay it back with interest, or else. And the or else will be you got taken to court. Then you have to pay a big fine, or the bailies will come to your house and take away your things. So you always come with strings attached. That's why we are a self-funded organisation, and that's why we rely on donations. So the problem with the funding, I've been involved in projects that have had government funding,
right?
And they work a number of different ways. First of all, if your young people are not hitting certain criteria, they don't want to know. So if our young boys are maybe not suicidal, or they're not doing drug abuse, they don't want to know.
So if you're not negative enough, then you are.
Yeah, they don't want to know. Are they in gangs? No, they're not in gangs, but they need help with, assisting them on the difficult path of boyhood to manhood. They don't want to know. So it's a complex thing. Also, sometimes with government funding, it goes for a short time. Yeah, Manhood Academy is for life now. It's been ordained by the Most High, so it's going to be for a lifetime. So we don't want government funding that's just going to run out after 6 months, and then we're searching around for where the money is, because we've got to, and that's where some of our some black organizations have fell down in the past, because you've got a really good initiative, you get the actual money, and then the money's run out, and then you don't know where the other money's coming through, so the whole thing has to shut down. We don't want that. We don't want to let down our children. We don't want to let down our community. So like I said before, for me personally, and I can speak for the other co-founders, we've got a responsibility to our community. Yeah, I've got responsibility, like I said before, to my wife and my children. I can't look my wife and my children in the eye and say, yeah, I went to work today, I picked up my money, and I didn't do nothing for the children in there. I wake up every morning, I think to myself, when I go to these schools, who am I going to help today? And then before I go to bed, I say to myself, well, who did I help today? And how many children have I helped today? And can I help more children or people tomorrow? That's what I'm about. So government funding and government grants are always very complex, because they always come with strings attached.
Yeah, as you said, it seems like the people who do get the grants, either like they mismanage it, or there's some element of corruption that takes place.
Well, even to go one step further, some of the grants or government funding that the government gives organisation to, they've never done any work with the community, or they come from Kent and they want to help young people in Tottenham, Brixton or Housden.
How does that work then?
One thing we have to understand. Oh, there's a caller coming through.
We've got a caller coming through. Caller?
Yes, my brethren.
Respect.
Love the program.
Respect.
And a brilliant idea. And everything you're doing is needed right now.
Respect.
The thing about us as black people is we don't like to pay for nothing. We like everything free.
Yep.
And everything on the cheap. Well, your ideas and how you're putting this thing together is, if we, as a set of people, can't see the goodness and the greatness of this idea, and we just let it fall apart. Mm-hmm. That is our bad luck.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we always want things free. We're so used to free that we don't want to pay. And this idea has to be paid for.
Yes.
Because it's so brilliant.
Yes.
The youth them are completely needed this. Because they are completely lost. And you're giving them direction. You're giving them purpose.
That's
so back it 100%, please.
Respect. And I just like to bounce.
Thank you very much.
I like to bounce off that as well, because sometimes people say they want a solution, but when the solution comes, it's like they don't really want the solution because the solution involves a cost.
And let's talk about the cost. Let's talk about the cost, because.
Thank you, Russ. Is it Russ Alkaline? Thank you. Perfect.
Oh, you know what I mean?
Boy, you know the voice, you know. Respect every time, you know.
Thank you very much for that. And you know, one thing we've got to do as people, and it's not all of us, but I understand what the brother's saying, is that we've got to know how to fund these organizations. Yeah, we can't be in a situation where we want change and we're not prepared to do what it takes to change. Yeah, because that's where we'll get ourselves into a situation, and then we'll go back to the government with our begging bowl, asking them to fix a problem, even though they had a large part of making it. It's our problem now. So if it's our problem now, we have to do what we have to do to fix the problem. No Theresa May or even Jeremy Corbyn is going to happen. Even though Jeremy Corbyn is he seems like a good politician, he's still up in politics. So no Theresa May or Jeremy Corbyn is going to fix the problem that was created by them. Yes, we know, for us. So that is going to take us to fund certain things like this, donate money or volunteer or push these organisations.
It's not even a donation, it's self-investment. That's what you're doing. When you're putting money into this, you're actually investing in yourself, you're investing in your community, and you're investing in you're increasing your potential. You know?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we don't get paid. We're volunteers, we don't get paid. So there is term time fees, which is £70 for the term. So it's each 6 weeks, £70 for the term, which is nothing, because there's 8 of us, so it's nothing. So there's a lot of things that are involved in putting together the Manhood Academy, but we volunteer it because we know there's a need.
And I think what you said the key is that you're teaching the youth to come out of their comfort zone.
That's right.
The thing is, we as a people have to come out of our comfort zone. That's the problem. We're too comfortable. Just like a well-trained dog. A dog in the wild, or any wild animal, has to work to stay alive. But now we've been trained to have the master provide everything for us. So now when we've got to do something for ourselves, it's like it's alien to us.
Yeah, and let me pick up on those words. You see, it's only with you I'm picking up on certain words. And when we talk about, you said the master, it's funny because I used to use the slave master. But what exactly did they master? What exactly did they say? They oppressed us, yes, but what exactly did they master? Because there was master of nothing. Wicked and bad. That's not me. Wicked and bad. They were master of nothing. They had a plan, but what we had was, we had the knowledge, the power, and or the resources, and they came to oppress that and take that away. So I just call them oppressors. I don't even give them that title of master, because we call our young people who come to our sessions young masters.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't even call them masters anymore. I just call them oppressors.
Are you going to be producing any educational products or anything like that? In relation to the stuff, in relation to the work that you do.
Well, yeah, we're that's one of our next steps, to go into schools and deliver, and some of us are actually in schools at the moment and delivering programs as well. So yeah, that's another one there. Mm-hmm.
And now, what do you think the way, like now, for like our young children? What's the way for them to maximise their potential? You know?
So many different ways, but they can affirm themselves in the morning when they're going to school. They can write down a list of things that they're good at. They can also, when they're in those schools, search, do their own research on great, powerful black men and women Yeah, because we've got the Womanhood Academy as well that have gone before them. Yeah, that's something that we sometimes miss out. And great black men and women that are doing it now, and even young people that are doing it doing it now, so they can have something to aspire to.
Right. Unfortunately, we run out of time. It's gone so quick. Are you having any open days or anything like that where planning any seminars or something where people can come and find out a bit more about you?
Yeah, well, if they, because we're always updating the website.
Once again, can you give out your information, contact details?
So it's www.manhoodacademy.co.uk. Once again, www.manhoodacademy.co.uk. All the information's on there, and we do update our website on a regular basis. So the term time's on there, the GoFundMe's on there, special guests, what we do in open days, if they want to volunteer, all the information is on the actual website.
Right. And when's your next trip out?
Well, we went to Newcastle. Took some boys Newcastle in the Easter holiday. They had a residential down there for about 4 days. They really liked that. That came out of their comfort zone because they had to give up their smartphones, which they didn't like at first, but they warmed to it. So the next big thing for us with the boys is taking the boys to Gambia in December, and we will take them to Gambia in December, the land of Kunta Kinte. So log on to our website, www.manhoodacademy.co.uk.
Jeff, I'd just like to say thanks for coming down here. We definitely have to have you back on the show again. It's gone so quick, really. There's still a whole lot of questions that we want to ask you, but we just have to invite you back once again. When somebody comes along with practical solution and a genius formula, all we can do is give them 500% support. So once again, give out your contact details.
Yeah, once again, the places that we took them is New Forest. There was New Forest in Newcastle. Yeah, New Forest in Newcastle for a residential, and they came out of their comfort zone there. That was the warm up for when we go Gambia. So all the details about what we do, how we came to PAR is on the website www.manhoodacademy.co.uk.
Once again, thank you for that. And also, I'd like to once again thank everybody who came down to the Speakers Club, which is what we do to help people communicate, improve their communication skills. And it was a full house. And once again, I'd like to thank everybody who contributed to that event. The next Speakers Club event will be taking place on the 27th of May, Sunday the 27th of May, and that is from 7 till 9. Also, do remember to support we're also doing a Saturday school every Saturday as well, and that's at the African Caribbean Centre. Places are limited, but if you're interested or you want some more information, you can call us on 07497 069 702. Once again, 07497 069 702. Once again, I'd like to thank you and all the listeners, all the contributors. Once again, thank you, Cass.
Blessed, brother.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. And that's it from us here on Jam Master Show. Thank you and good night.
Hello, mate.
Well, go on.
What day of the week is it?
What you ask me them question for?
I just wanted to know.
It's Thursday.
Oh.
And you know what I go on Thursday?
No, tell me, mate.
It's the Jam Master Show.
All right.
On Bless Radio.
Nice one.
Things sweet like Jamaican mango. Put a G and a O that spells go.
Love it, mate.
Remember to turn on your radio and switch on your stereo.
Oh, I'm doing that now.
Oh, DJ Jammers, I play right now.
Cheers.